Once we launch my purse line, we'll be on our way to giving the Kardashians a run for their money. I'm gonna shake things up.
A cycle of anger isn't healthy.
I'll be healthy again as soon as I make a couple of cheaters pay for blowing up my life.
There were a number of times when you or a member of your family needed a favor. This is a situation where you owe me one. Have a nice rest of your day.
It sounds like someone deliberately tried to hurt you.
Sounds like attempted murder.
Can't imagine how terrified you must have been.
I found out who did this.
I love you, Derek.
For one night.
Good evening, denizens of Genoa City, and welcome to your essential, unfiltered, and slightly caffeinated recap of all things the young and the restless. Strap in, because January 14th wasn't just another day in the business of fashion and fraught glances. It was a masterclass in psychological maneuvering, with one central, weeping question mark: Hayley Rose. Buckle up, because we're diving deep into the wreckage. The main event, Claire's therapy session, or how to detonate a family with a single memory. The undeniable core of today's episode was Claire Grace's continued therapeutic journey with Dr. Alcott. What began as a gentle probing into her childhood memories swiftly escalated into a thermonuclear revelation. Claire, voice trembling with the weight of a submerged past, recalled a pivotal, traumatic moment. A young, desperate Victoria Newman, begging Jordan to let her hold her baby. Jordan's response: a cold, cruel manipulation. She forced Victoria to choose. She could hold Claire, but only if she swore to give up her search for her missing daughter, Eve. It was a Sophie's choice crafted in hell, designed to break Victoria's spirit and sever the maternal bond before it could even form. This wasn't just a memory. It was a foundational truth bomb. It reframed everything. It painted Victoria not as a woman who callously abandoned her child, but as a victim of unimaginable psychological torture. It solidified Jordan as a monster of Machiavellian proportions. And it landed, with deafening impact, in the living room of the Newman Ranch, where Victoria, Nikki, and Victor listened via speakerphone. The silence that followed wasn't just auditory, it was seismic. Victoria's guilt, a constant companion, was now alloyed with a furious, righteous grief. Victor's protectiveness shifted into a higher, more dangerous gear. Nikki's horror deepened. Claire's path to integrating into the Newmans just found its most powerful paving stone: shared victimhood at the hands of a true villain. Which brings us to the elephant in the penthouse: Hayley Rose. While the Newmans grappled with ancestral trauma, Billy Abbott was across town, performing a different kind of excavation. Tasked with digging into Jordan's background, his investigation led him straight to Hayley, Jordan's hapless, anxious niece and co-conspirator in crime, mostly under duress. Billy's approach wasn't Victor's brute force or Nikki's icy disdain. It was a velvet glove over a firm hand. He found Hayley not scheming, but sitting alone, a portrait of frayed nerves and impending doom. And here is where the fandom splits, sharp as a scalpel. The question of the day, burning up the message boards and social media feeds, is simple. Does anyone at all actually feel sorry for Hayley? Let's break down the case, juror style. The prosecution. No sympathy, only consequences. Team No Sympathy is loud, proud, and armed with a compelling ledger of grievances. Their argument rests on a foundation of choice and complicity. The poisoned cocoa. This is the unshakable, indelible stain. Hayley didn't just hand Jordan a cup. She knowingly, deliberately laced Nikki Newman's drink with a toxic substance. This wasn't passive fear. This was an active, physical assault that nearly killed the matriarch of Genoa City. For this faction, there is no coming back. You cross the line from scared accomplice to would-be murderer the moment you spike the beverage. The extended charade. Hayley didn't tap out after the kidnapping. She stayed. She played nurse to the imprisoned Claire and Kyle. She participated in the ongoing psychological warfare, even as she winced at Jordan's methods. Her complicity was sustained, not momentary. The alternative. The sympathetic view hinges on Hayley being terrorized by her aunt. But the prosecution asks, at any point in this months-long saga, did she pick up a phone when Jordan wasn't looking? Did she slip a note to a delivery person? Did she run, screaming, into the nearest police station? Her fear may have been real, they argue, But it never quite eclipsed her self-preservation or her twisted familial loyalty enough to trigger a truly desperate, heroic act. She chose the path of least resistance, and that path led directly to Nikki's near-death experience. The defense: she's a victim, too. Team Sympathy sees not a villain, but perhaps the most tragically relatable character in the whole Jordan saga. The Jordan effect. They argue we must not underestimate the lifelong psychological conditioning inflicted by a sociopath like Jordan. Hayley wasn't just afraid of her aunt. She was molded by her, dominated by her, and programmed to obey. Jordan's love was conditional, her wrath terrifying. For someone like Hayley, raised in that warped dynamic, disobedience might not feel like an option. It might feel like a psychic impossibility. The cracks in the armor. The defense points to every wince, every hesitant glance, every moment of clear discomfort Hayley displayed during the captivity. She wasn't a gleeful participant. She was a horrified spectator trapped on the stage. Her attempt to warn Claire about the tainted tea, however feeble, was a sign of a conscience screaming under duress. The true self emerges. Now, isolated from Jordan's toxic aura, Hayley is crumbling. The anxiety she exhibits with Billy isn't the calculated fear of a criminal about to be caught. It's the visceral panic of a trauma victim whose abuser is gone but whose mental prison remains. She is, in their view, a perfect example of how abuse can make a person an instrument of harm while eroding their own soul. She needs a therapist, not just a prison cell. The Yap verdict: it's complicated, and that's good drama. So, where does the daily YAPP land? In the gloriously messy middle. The beauty, and the frustration, of Hayley is that both sides are right. Feeling genuine, heartfelt sorry for her is a tall order after the poisoned cocoa. That act is a moral event horizon for many viewers, and rightly so. One can understand the roots of her actions without absolving their horrific consequences. Nikki's trauma is real. Hayley's role in it is indelible. However, to feel nothing for her, no pang of recognition at the portrait of a broken, manipulated soul, is to miss the nuanced tragedy the writers are sketching. Hayley is a study in the banality of evil, not from a desk in a totalitarian regime, but from a quiet, terrified woman handing over a mug. Her sorrow isn't the kind that demands our tears, but it might demand our morbid fascination. We can, in the same breath, demand she face full legal consequences for her crimes and recognize that her psyche is a collateral damage site of Jordan's war. Billy Abbott, ever the complex soul drawn to damaged birds, seems to be operating in this grey area. His not offering a hug, his offering a lifeline to the authorities. His appealing to the sliver of self left in her, not to forgive her, but to use her to bring down the architect of it all. His treating her not as pure evil, but as a usable asset drowning in regret, a much smarter play than pure intimidation. Around the gates. Quick hits. Kyle and Audra's calculated coziness. Their continued alliance over drinks is smelling less like business and more like a slow-burn reunion tour. The chemistry is dialed up to 11, and their mutual disdain for Harrison's current living situation, and Tucker, in Audra's case, is a powerful bonding agent. Is this a master plan, or are they just masterfully fooling themselves?